Can you really trust the inflation data anymore? We've got alarming new data of exactly how the CPI is derived. I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Obviously, the CPI inflation data, it impacts so much of the economy. It impacts the cost of living adjustment for Social Security. It impacts monetary policy, and therefore it's going to impact the stock market, impacts your job and raises, potential raises that you can get. And so it's wildly important. And yet we've also been through times when you see the inflation data or you hear the headline, you say, what? There's no way that's accurate. There's no way that's true. And that's caused a few of us to refer to it as the CPI Lie. At times you think the people that came up with this data, they are not living in the real world. How did they even come up with this? Well, recent data actually shows just how much of the CPI is guessed, and that number is on the rise. To calculate the CPI every single month, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics team goes out and calculates about 90,000 different price quotes every single month, and researching and doing analysis as across 200 different line items, different categories of the economy and prices. And so, yeah, it's a pretty expansive search. Obviously, it's not going to be exact and extremely precise, but it's pretty exhaustive. Well, on any given month, there's about 10% of the data that they're not able to either get quotes on or hear back from people on. So about 10% every single month is guessed or it's estimated. Now, it's not just pulling out of thin air. It's estimated based on the data that is available, but around 10% of the CPI data every single month is estimated. So when they can't get information, it's not that they leave it blank, they put an educated guess in there, around 10%. But here's the problem. Take a look at this chart. Up to a third is currently being guessed, is being made up in the CPI due to shortages, due to staffing cuts, due to a few other things. And I also saw a report saying that, yeah, because of streaming services and subscription-based prices where prices are locked in, it's making it harder to get CPI data. A third, about 30% of the CPI data recently, in the most recent couple of months, has been completely guessed, completely made up. I don't know about you, but that is staggering. That is alarming. This data was sent to me by another one of our all-star advisors, Bill Mock here, and he just had several different exclamation points and question marks after he sent it to me. And yeah, like him, I'm sure you are flabbergasted. I can't believe it. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, this is going to impact, the CPI impacts, so many things. The cost of living adjustment on Social Security. If you get a pension and it has a cost of living adjustment, it's going to impact that. If you are setting up retirement income sources, maybe from a fixed account, something like that, and they're going to adjust for inflation, this is going to impact that. Of course, it's going to impact the stock market, right? There's all sorts of calculations derived every single day based on, well, what do you think this company is going to be able to grow to? And in those calculations is an inflation assumption, and certainly there is some infighting going on right now, even about interest rate policy and that sort of thing. And even Jerome Powell apparently has mentioned recently that the quality of the CPI data has been deteriorating. Has that led to the Fed being a little bit slower to reduce rates? We don't know, but having good CPI information is going to help the economy and help folks make great decisions. And when it's deteriorating like this, it casts a cloud and puts all of that in question. So what do you do? What do you do? Obviously, this has personal financial implications, let alone the macro elements. So what do you do? Well, if you're interested in this sort of stuff and either to get a sentiment or a read on what's going on in the economy, I would look at multiple inflation measures. Okay, so the CPI, the PCE, and those sorts of things. They're all going to be a little bit imprecise, but maybe by blending all of them, it will give you a better sense. It give all of us a better sense of where things are going. But more importantly, I would track your own spending data on an ongoing basis. And I know this is super, super geeky, but even in Econ 101, when I was in college, it talked about, yes, there's inflation, there's headline inflation, but that doesn't mean that that's the exact inflation on your own spending. And it's the inflation on your own spending that matters the most for your long-term goals and for your retirement planning, right? It really, yes, CPI and the external factors that we don't control, those are critically important and they influence us, but they don't perfectly match. It doesn't perfectly explain and match our own increased spending on an individualized basis. An easy example that I always share is the concept of substitution. If you go out to eat and you typically like steak and you get out there and you look at the menu and say, oh my goodness, this steak is wildly expensive, this is very expensive, I'm gonna get the chicken. Well, next time you go out, the chicken has been rising in price, you say, nope, I want the salad, right? So you might not prefer that, but to me, when I go out to eat, I want to spend a certain amount or below, otherwise I'm not gonna enjoy it. And obviously those prices are on the rise, so that's maybe a helpful example for you, but we all have substitution as well. We have our own choice. And so tracking your own spending and how it's been changing over time will better help you put in an accurate forecast in your retirement projections and plan better for the future. So what's the inflation adjustment that you're using for your retirement projections? You want to know what that number is. And then also, what's the actual cost of living adjustment that you're experiencing yourself? Tracking your budget, doing that 3-bank account system, and comparing it over time to see what adjustment actually are you having in your expenses. Work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.